questions for 6 sales to seniors. We're going to discuss 6 real easy-to-ask conversation starter type questions that you can use with your existing senior clients. And this webinar is designed to last for about 20 minutes, and then we'll have an opportunity to go through some questions at the end. For any of you who are unfamiliar with me, my name is Brian Leising. I'm a life insurance sales director here at Financial Brokerage. I've been here well over 10 years now, and have had an opportunity to obtain the CLU, CHFC, and CASLA designations. I spent some time selling out in the field as an independent producer prior to coming over here, and I sent some of my personal life insurance business through Financial Brokerage at that time, and have continued to do so. We're a national market organization working with life insurance, annuities, long-term care, and disability insurance, primarily with independent producers all across the country. But we'll get into today's topic here. I'm assuming, since you're on this webinar, that you have some clients who are seniors. And if they're your clients, they've obviously purchased at least one product from you. But for a lot of folks, that's all that they've ever purchased was just one product. And this isn't a problem just with the senior market. We encounter folks that specialize in property casualty, in group benefits, in investments, you name it, and a lot of their clients just have one product with them. Well, you're really missing out on some opportunities if you haven't at least made an attempt to help out your clients beyond just that one product. But with the senior market, what we typically see is a person has a Medicare supplement in the household. They have an annuity in the household. Maybe it's a long-term care policy or just a final expense policy. But they haven't ever gone beyond that. So what we're here to do is give you some ways to uncover some additional needs for your clients and hopefully some additional sales, so you can both help your clients and help yourself, because we're not in this as nonprofit organizations, that's for sure. So we're going to go over 6 real simple questions you can be asking those clients. I've got all the questions laid out here. I'm not going to read them to you, but we're going to go through them one by one. And these are designed to go up in income levels. We're going to start out with a real basic question that would work with just about anybody and everybody out there, but might be more applicable to folks at the lower income levels, and work our way all the way up to folks that may have a federal estate tax problem. And here are the 6 sales that those are going to lead to. So if you can read fast and then have a photographic memory, you'll know what's coming up here. But we're going to start off with the very first one. What planning have you done for your funeral? This is something you can ask just about anybody, and we don't want to start asking them about life insurance. People immediately throw up barriers and shut down the conversation pretty quickly if you lead with a life insurance question. So ask them, what planning have you done for your funeral? And then be quiet. Listen to them speak. They're going to start talking about their will. Maybe they've just had one completed, or maybe they're thinking of having one done. Maybe they had a loved one pass away recently, and the conversation will go down that road. They might talk about what cemetery they want to be buried in, or they might mention, well, we're going to be cremated. We don't need a whole lot of money for this. Well, you're going to need money for something. They might talk about the music to be played, the flowers they want there. Just let them talk, whatever it happens to be. And then your follow-up question here is, well, how is your family going to pay for all that? Have you priced caskets, a burial plot? Do you know what it costs to rent a hall? Whatever it takes. What about your end-of-life medical expenses that were not covered by Medicare or your supplement policy? You can go lots of different directions there. But once they realize, yeah, this is going to be expensive to die, you can't just die for free, ask them if they really want to pay full price for all that, or if they had an opportunity to, would they rather be able to, one, pay for everything ahead of time, but not pay full price, pay for everything with discounted dollars. And you can do that with a life insurance policy. And this is the only need we're talking about here, just the basic funeral expenses. Well, why not talk about a final expense whole life policy? We have several carriers here that offer those. They offer level premiums. Premiums are never going to change. They're usually pretty affordable, and they cover these very basic end-of-life needs. They're simplified underwriting. It goes really fast. There's no paramed exam involved. There's no blood draws. The client answers the questions on the application. You send it in. With some companies, there might be a phone interview, but that's it. These things get issued within a week or two. A real easy sale to make with folks at just about any income level there. And we do have some resources here at Financial Brokerage on our website to assist. We have a final expense quoting engine, and I will tell you this works great on Explorer. It does not work on Firefox at all. You can get that under the quotes tab on our website, and you can see a comparison of all of our carriers for a particular client. You've input. You can also click and get the product guide right there. So it's pretty simple, a lot easier to use than what the carriers provide, which for this marketplace is usually just a paper rate guide, and then you've got to provide your own calculator or math skills on paper and try to figure out the rate. And this is much, much easier. So that's our first and most basic sale. If we go a little bit beyond that, now we're talking about clients that maybe they're not a final expense candidate. Maybe they already have some life insurance policies. And I stole this question from one of our top agents in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And this is one of his follow-up questions he asks folks is, when did you last review your life insurance policies? And whoever you're talking to there is going to scratch their head for a second, and they're going to say, well, what do you mean review our policies? I mean, we haven't seen our agent since he delivered the policy. Maybe he didn't even deliver it. Maybe he mailed the policy to them. But they haven't seen their agent probably 10 years or however old their policy is. And they haven't heard from him or her. And, that's a big problem because policies need to be reviewed, if not every year, every couple of years, every few years, or what have you, especially some of these older policies. There's a couple problems that we see with some of these. If it's a term policy, hey, their level term period may be expiring, and they're going to be faced with either tremendously high rates or the policy is going to go away. Maybe they have the ability to convert it to a permanent plan. Maybe they have to do it before then because they're going to become too old to be able to convert something. If they have an older universal life policy, we see a lot of these still that were written before the no-lapse guarantee came about, and those guarantees started about the year 2000. But the older ULs prior to 2000, they didn't have such a thing. They relied on cash value being present in the contract to keep it in force. And unfortunately, many of these were underfunded, and it's really a ticking time bomb. They're going to expire, and people are going to have no coverage. So the newer no-lapse model, I say newer, but geez, these things have been around for 15 years now. So the no-lapse ULs provide guarantees on a level premium paying basis. They don't have to worry about having cash value in there. There are still some of those older ULs out there that you can essentially rescue and make sure that your folks are going to have some coverage. You could also encounter the opposite problem. Some of these older whole life policies are so cash rich that the client really isn't getting any leverage out of that. I'm going to over-exaggerate things here, but you might see a $50,000 whole life policy with $30,000, $35,000 of cash in there. Well, what do they really have? If they have $35,000 of cash in a $50,000 policy, they have a $15,000 policy, and the rest of it is a return of their own money. You can get a lot more leverage on those dollars by 1035 exchanging them into a no-lapse guarantee UL. Now maybe they're getting a $100,000 policy and really putting that money to work for them. Or you could take maybe $10,000 and give them a paid-up $50,000 plan, and now they've got the rest of that money to go out there and enjoy in their retirement years. So there's just a ton of opportunities out there by simply reviewing policies that your clients have. Now, if you need some resources to help you with that, we have some articles, we have some fact finders and checklists from different resources here. I'd be happy to email out to you if you're looking for something to use rather than just winging it on a notebook pad or something like that. So there's our first two questions. I'm going to move on to the third, and again, we're moving up the the income ladder here, and now we're assuming that your clients have their life insurance already taken care of, and we want to tackle another need that they're going to have in their retirement years, and that's the high costs of extended care or long-term care. And if you think about it, the high cost of extended care is really the greatest threat to your clients' retirement funds that exists. This is a greater threat than a stock market downturn. I mean, we know what happened in 2008. The stock market tanked, and look where we're at now in 2015. Seems like every other week the Dow or the S&P 500 is setting a new record high. Look, we know the stock market always bounces back. The elderly don't. When grandma or grandpa falls on their way to the mailbox on the ice, they're not getting up, and they're probably not getting better. So what can you do to protect against the high costs associated with caring for somebody like that? Well, traditionally, you would get them a long-term care insurance policy. Now, those are great, but you know what? Not everybody is going to purchase a long-term care policy. We've seen a steady decrease in sales of traditional long-term care. Carriers are exiting the markets all the time. The rates are going up, not only for newly purchased policies, but for policies that have been in existence. Carriers are raising rates. So what's been the solution? Well, these linked benefit policies, and I have a whole webinar on these that I'm actually going to be hosting 2 weeks from today. So if you're interested in learning more, you want to join us in 2 weeks for the linked benefit webinar. But these are essentially life insurance policies that allow the client to accelerate that death benefit for long-term care purposes while they're still living. And these are very appealing to folks that are looking at taking care of this extended care need for a few reasons. One, the premiums are guaranteed to be level for the rest of their life. These are based on a whole life chassis or a no-lapse guarantee, UL chassis. The premiums will never change. They can never have a rate increase like they can with traditional long-term care. That's very appealing to folks. Also, these policies take care of a major objection to traditional long-term care. If you've sold or attempted to sell any long-term care, you've heard this before, I guarantee it. The client will say, well, what if I die and I never need to use this? I've wasted my money. I don't want to waste my money. Now, that doesn't seem to be a problem for them when they're making their homeowner's insurance check out every year. You know, they've never had a fire. They've never had a tornado or hurricane. They've never used that policy. Well, they don't seem to think those premiums are wasted. They're going to pay them on time every time. Seems to be a problem with long-term care. People don't think logically. So you can use this policy as a comeback and tell your clients, look, if you don't use this money for long-term care, this entire death benefit is going to go to your heirs. So your premiums have never been wasted. Somebody is guaranteed to get something no matter what. Now, there is a third reason we see these being very popular too, and it's an economic reason. You have clients that have a need for life insurance. They have a need for long-term care coverage. They really can't afford both. So they have to make a decision. Which one did they purchase? Well, you give them a third option here. They can have both in one combined policy. So we're giving them coverage for more than one need. Now, we have several carriers here at Financial Brokerage that offer linked benefit plans. And some are on UL chassis, some are on whole life. There are even some term life insurance products available. Some reimburse for expenses, some pay out a lump sum regardless of expenses. There's just multiple varieties of these products, and I'll go over that in depth 2 weeks from now. But I think at last count, 16, maybe 18 of our 22 life carriers offer some form of a hybrid linked benefit policy here. Now, moving on to our fourth question, again, we're assuming now that our clients have got their life insurance taken care of, they've got their extended care expenses taken care of, and we're now looking at their funds they have laying around. And I stole this question from some of our annuity producers here in the past, and they like to ask their clients, you know, where do you keep your safe money, the money you can't afford to lose? And get your clients talking about that, and you know, they may have the money in annuities already, which is fantastic. It's a lot better than having it in a CD in the bank. But then move on to ask your clients, well, what's the purpose of these funds, right? It might be emergency money. That's fine. That's what banks are for. Hopefully it's not for long-term care expenses because you've taken care of that with a real policy already. But you're going to find clients out there that have money set aside in the bank, maybe in an annuity, and they're not planning to spend that in their lifetime. The purpose of those funds is to be passed on to their children or grandchildren. Now, what financial vehicle does that more efficiently than anything else? Well, it's a life insurance policy, right? A CD is good for short-term growth. I guess now you're not going to get any growth. If you count 0.5% interest growth, maybe, you're going to get taxed on that every year. Not an efficient vehicle for transferring funds. Annuities are great for building up money and for guaranteed income streams, and or maybe taking withdrawals in retirement, right? You're going to spend that money. They're not so good for passing money on. So if that's the purpose of these funds, you really want to take a look at a single premium life insurance policy. Sometimes they're referred to as wealth transfer policies. And they're usually designed as modified endowment contracts. That's not a dirty word. It just means that the policy is cash value is treated exactly the same as an annuity. So no big deal, especially if your clients already have their money sitting in an annuity. But again, if they have funds that they're looking to just pass on to the next generation, you want to move them into one of these products. Underwriting with some of these is pretty simple. Usually there's no pyramid exam required, kind of like those final expense policies. And you can really leverage those dollars. Maybe their $50,000 has now become $75,000 or $80,000 immediately. They don't have to wait for that money to grow to that level. That's the amount that their heirs are going to receive completely tax-free, whether they die tomorrow or they die 20 years down the road. And we have several resources here to help with that. It used to be ING, now it's Voya, has a whole microsite on wealth transfer. I can get you a link to that. North American has got a great concept they call smart money, and we have to get you a link explaining that or walk you through the illustrations to help some clients. We also have some fact finders available if you have clients in this situation, but that's some real basic estate planning you can do with some of your clients, which brings me to the fifth question here, which involves estate planning. And for those that are aware, the current estate tax exemption is $10 million per couple. And we're not going to see, in fact, we haven't been seeing nearly as many of these cases as we have in the past. The exemption level just a few years back was only $1 million. So it was pretty easy to have an estate worth more than that. But now at $10 million, these cases aren't nearly as common as what they used to be. Now, even if your clients don't meet that $10 million threshold, some states have a separate state estate tax, which has a much lower threshold. I don't have a listing of those at my fingertips, but if you're in one of those states, you're probably aware of that right now. But if you have some clients that have a lot of money, maybe they have a lot of property, right? They own some buildings around town. Maybe they're a rancher or a farmer. They have a lot of livestock, a lot of equipment, what have you. Just ask them, well, hey, what steps have you taken to minimize your taxable estate to your heirs? And hopefully they already have an attorney they're working with. If not, again, hopefully you have one that you know and trust and you can refer them to. But that's really the first step. Get them talking to an attorney to do some real basic estate planning, maybe moving the assets around to different places. There's a lot an attorney can do without an insurance sale ever being made. Now, there's only so much the attorneys can do, though. A lot of times it's going to come down to a point, in fact, like a person I was speaking to yesterday, where we had a client worth, I think, about $20 million, and we were, they have a $10 million exemption. That means $10 million is going to be taxable at the federal level, and so we were looking at a survivorship life plan for these folks. They had already spoke with their attorney and done everything they could do there. And I tell you what, this is going to be a really nice case for that agent I spoke to yesterday morning, if he's able to place it. So the premiums are tremendous on these. The clients have the money to pay it, and they certainly have a tremendous need for that. We have several resources here at Financial Brokerage. A couple of our carriers have got some microsites that are custom made for helping with this concept and with this sale. Some other more advanced pieces if a person wants to read up on the exact laws and how everything transfers over. We have that available for you as well. Now, I'm going to move on to our sixth and final question here. And we're assuming now that you've gone through everything you could possibly do to help out your clients, whether it's a basic burial plan or working with them on estate planning, and they are completely taken care of. All you need to do now is review and everything you've done with them for the past couple of years. Well, what do you do now? Well, now's a great time to ask for referrals. And one of the best referrals I think you can get is ask your senior clients about their grandchildren. You're going to be able to get referred to that next generation and keep the entire family as clients. And one of the reasons to ask about grandchildren is if you've ever spoke to a senior, had an appointment in their home, look at the pictures on the walls there. You're probably not going to see their children anymore. You're going to see pictures of the grandkids all over the place. Just ask them a couple of questions about the grandkids and where they live, what they like to do, how often they see them, and that sort of thing. And be prepared for a half-hour conversation because they love to talk about the grandkids, and they would do just about anything to help them and see them start off in life on the right foot. And so you want to ask them, who handles your grandchildren's life insurance? Or who handles your grandchildren's college fund right now? You might combine both questions together, or just go for one or the other, wherever the case may be. But this is a great question to ask because the grandchildren's parents may not be in a position to help with either one of these. Maybe they can take care of the life insurance policy, but they don't have the extra funds available for the college funding piece. So there's no reason Grandma and Grandpa can't step in and be the payor of a life insurance policy on these grandchildren, or even on the children to benefit the grandchildren. They can also be the person who provides the funds for a life insurance policy on mom or dad. We're talking about an overfunded policy with the goal of using that money to pay college tuition down the road, maybe to be used as a down payment on that grandchild's first house. If you think about it, these are a couple of things that those grandkids will never forget. I mean, they get to college, they start their own family afterwards. They're still going to have that little $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 whole life policy that Grandma or Grandpa purchased for them. Long after Grandma and Grandpa are gone, they're going to remember that Grandma and Grandpa bought that policy for them and gave them that start in life. Same thing with college. If Grandma and Grandpa can afford to foot the bill for that, or a good portion of it, I mean, they're going to remember that for the rest of their life, and maybe they're going to do the same thing for their grandchildren when they get older. But if Grandma and Grandpa want to be remembered, this is a great way to do it, to provide that first life insurance policy or the college funds for their grandchild. So we have some tools here at Financial Brokerage to help with this as well. Mutual of Omaha is one of the carriers that offers a policy that is just custom tailored for kids, probably one of the better ones out there. And we also have a whole college planning microsite available on our website. And this goes over everything from prospecting in that market to the tools and products you want to use, and how to arrange them in those situations. So again, if you want to delve into that a little further, we have that available on our website as well. So now we're going to get to the question portion of the webinar, and again, you can type those in at the bottom of your control panel on the right there. And this is also the time where I'm going to put in a little plug for some upcoming webinars. Next week, Wednesday at 10 o'clock Central, same time as today, we're going to have our advanced case specialist, David Stork. He'll be speaking about some estate planning techniques that you can use. And then 2 weeks from today, I'll be here again talking about the linked benefit plans. I'll be joined by David Corwin in our annuity department. There are some annuity products that combine long-term care as well. So let's see what questions we have here.